Hello, my name is Daniel Carter, and I'm 34 years old. I live in a small two-story house with peeling white paint on the edge of a quiet neighborhood in Bend, Oregon. The place sits at the end of a cul-de-sac, backed up against a strip of pine trees that smell sharp and clean after the rain. It's not much, just 3 bedrooms, a kitchen that always smells faintly of coffee, and a backyard big enough for my 6-year-old son, Leo, to run wild without ever leaving my sight. I bought it 5 years ago, right after I left the fire department. The mortgage still keeps me up some nights, but it's ours, and that's enough. I used to be a firefighter. 10 years on the job, running into burning buildings, pulling people out of wrecks, carrying kids on my shoulders while their parents cried in relief. It was the kind of work that made you feel alive, like every second counted. Then 3 years ago, my wife, Emily, died in a car accident on Highway 97. A drunk driver crossed the median. She was on her way home from the grocery store with a bag of oranges in the passenger seat. The police said she never saw it coming. I was on shift when the call came in. I didn't make it to the scene in time. Leo was 3. He doesn't remember her voice, but he still sleeps with the stuffed elephant she gave him the week he was born. These days, I keep things simple. I run a kids' fitness program at the community center 3 afternoons a week. Basic stuff like relay races, obstacle courses, and games that teach balance and teamwork. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills, and the kids love it. Leo comes with me most days, bouncing around like a pinball, making friends with everyone. He's got his mother's eyes, big, hazel, always looking for the next adventure. I live for those eyes. They're the only thing that still feels like her. Every afternoon after I pick Leo up from kindergarten, we head to Central Park. It's a 10-minute drive from the house, past the brewery and the little bookstore with the crooked sign. The park is the heart of this town. Wide green fields, a playground with bright red slides, a duck pond where the water's always murky, and a loop trail that winds through the trees. It's where half the neighborhood ends up on any given day. Kids scream on the swings, dogs chase frisbees, and old men play chess on the concrete tables. Leo loves it. He says the park smells like outside candy, whatever that means. I was sitting on a bench near the playground one Tuesday in early October, watching Leo climb the monkey bars like he was born for it. The air was cool, the kind of crisp that makes your lungs feel clean. The leaves were starting to turn, patches of gold and red flickering in the breeze. I had a thermos of coffee between my knees, half empty, and a book I wasn't reading. Leo was mid-laugh, his sneakers kicking up wood chips, when I noticed them for the first time. A woman and a little girl stood off to the side near the edge of the sandbox. The woman was tall, dressed in a sharp navy blazer and black slacks, her hair pulled back in a low bun that looked like it took effort to make perfect. She had a phone pressed to her ear, her voice low but clipped like she was giving orders. The girl couldn't have been more than 8. She had light brown hair in 2 messy braids, a pink backpack slung over one shoulder, and a stuffed rabbit clutched to her chest. She wasn't playing, wasn't swinging, wasn't even looking at the other kids. She just sat on the ground, knees pulled up, eyes fixed on the dirt like it held all the answers. Leo noticed her too. He hopped off the monkey bars and ran over, his sneakers skidding in the gravel. "Hey!" he called, waving both arms like he was flagging down a plane. "Wanna play?" The girl didn't move, didn't look up. Her fingers tightened around the rabbit's ear. The woman, her mother, I assumed, ended her call and glanced over. Her eyes were sharp, guarded, like she was sizing up a threat. She gave me a quick nod, the kind you give a stranger to be polite, then put a hand on the girl's shoulder. "Mia, come on. Let's go." Mia. That was her name. She stood up slowly, still clutching the rabbit, and let her mom lead her away. They didn't head toward the playground or the trail. They just walked to a bench on the far side of the park, tucked under a maple tree, and sat. The woman pulled out her phone again. The girl stared at the ground. I watched them for a minute, maybe 2. Something about the way Mia held herself, small, closed off like she was trying to disappear, stuck with me. I've seen kids like that before, shy ones, scared ones, kids who've been through something, but this was different. It wasn't fear in her eyes. It was emptiness, like someone had turned the volume down on her world and forgotten to turn it back up. Leo ran back to me, out of breath. "Dad, she didn't answer," he said, frowning. "I think she's sad." "Maybe," I said, ruffling his hair. "Some kids take a while to warm up." He nodded, already distracted by a kid with a soccer ball. I looked back at the bench. Mia was still staring at the dirt. Her mom was still on the phone. I didn't know it then, but that was the first time I saw them. The first time I felt that tug in my chest, like something was pulling me toward a story I wasn't ready to read. I finished my coffee, called Leo over, and we headed home. The sun was dipping low, painting the sky orange and pink. I didn't think about Mia again that night, but the next day they were back. Same bench, same time, same silence. And Leo, being Leo, didn't forget. The next afternoon, the sky was a flat gray, the kind of overcast that makes everything look softer. Leo and I pulled into the parking lot at Central Park right on schedule, 4 o'clock sharp. He was already unbuckling himself before I'd turned off the engine, his backpack bouncing against his shoulders. "Come on, Dad. I want to show Mia the dragon cave," he shouted, like we'd been planning this for weeks. I didn't have the heart to tell him I wasn't sure Mia would even be there. But as we crossed the grass, I spotted them. Same bench under the maple tree. Claire sat with her legs crossed, scrolling through her phone, her blazer swapped for a charcoal sweater that looked expensive even from a distance. Mia was in the same spot on the ground, knees drawn up, rabbit in her lap. She was tracing patterns in the dirt with a stick, slow, deliberate circles that didn't seem to mean anything. Leo didn't hesitate. He dropped his backpack at my feet and bolted. "Mia," he called, waving both arms again, "I brought sticks for the dragon cave." I hung back, leaning against a picnic table and watching. Claire glanced up, her eyes flicking from Leo to me. She gave a small nod, polite but not inviting. I nodded back and stayed where I was. Leo skidded to a stop in front of Mia. "Look," he said, holding up a bundle of twigs he'd collected from the trail. "These are the walls, and this one's the door." He plopped down beside her, not waiting for permission. Mia didn't look at him, but her stick stopped moving. Leo didn't notice. He started arranging the twigs in a crooked square, narrating the whole thing. "The dragon lives here, but he's nice. He just eats marshmallows. You want to help?" Mia's eyes lifted, just for a second. She stared at the twigs, then at Leo's hands. Her fingers twitched around the rabbit's ear. Leo kept talking, oblivious. "We need a roof. Oh, leaves!" He jumped up, grabbed a handful from the ground, and dumped them on the twig square. A few stuck, most scattered. I watched Mia's face. She didn't smile, didn't speak, but her shoulders relaxed a fraction. She shifted the rabbit to one arm and reached out, slow, like she was testing the air, and picked up a single leaf. She placed it carefully on the twig roof. Leo grinned like she'd just handed him a trophy. "Perfect! Now it's a real cave." Claire had stopped scrolling. She was watching too, her phone forgotten in her lap. Her expression was unreadable, part curiosity, part wariness. I caught her eye and gave a small shrug like, "Kids, right?" She didn't smile, but her grip on the phone loosened. This became the routine. Every afternoon, Leo dragged me to the park, and every afternoon, Mia and Claire were there. Same bench, same silence. But Leo didn't care about silence. He talked enough for both of them. Day 3, he brought a plastic dinosaur and declared it the dragon's pet. Mia watched it stomp through the twig cave, her eyes tracking every move. Day 5, he drew a chalk dragon on the sidewalk. Big wings, goofy smile. Mia stood 3 feet away, clutching her rabbit, but she didn't look away. By the end of the first week, Mia was sitting closer, not next to Leo, but not on the ground anymore. She'd moved to the edge of the bench, her feet dangling, rabbit in her lap. Leo didn't push, he just kept building. Castles, spaceships, once a whole city made of acorns. Mia never spoke, but she started handing him things. A smooth pebble on day 4, a red leaf on day 6, a broken crayon on day 8. Each time, Leo acted like it was gold. "This is the treasure!" he'd shout, adding it to whatever masterpiece he was creating. I kept my distance, but I watched everything, the way Mia's fingers lingered when she passed Leo a stick, the way her eyes followed his hands, not his face, the way she'd glance at Claire every few minutes like checking if it was still okay to be there. Claire never intervened. She'd look up from her phone, nod once, and go back to whatever email she was writing. But I noticed her watching, too. The way her shoulders softened when Mia handed Leo that first pebble. The way her lips pressed together when Leo made Mia's rabbit fly over the twig castle. One afternoon, about 10 days in, Leo decided they needed a moat. He grabbed a stick and started digging a trench around the twig city. Dirt flew everywhere. Mia watched, then, without a word, picked up her own stick and started digging on the other side. Their trenches met in the middle. Leo whooped, "We did it! The dragon's safe now!" Mia didn't smile, but her eyes did something I'd never seen before. They crinkled at the corners just a little, like she was trying it on for size. Claire saw it too. She closed her phone and stood, walking over slowly. She didn't say anything, just stood behind Mia, one hand resting lightly on the bench. Leo looked up. "Hi, Mia's mom. We made a moat." "I see that," Claire said, her voice softer than I'd heard it. She looked at Mia, then at the trench, then at me. I gave a small nod. She didn't nod back, but she didn't leave either. She stayed until Leo declared the Dragon City complete, until the sun dipped low and the air turned chilly. As we packed up, Leo ran over to me, covered in dirt. "Dad, Mia's really good at moats," he said, breathless. "She didn't say anything, but she helped a lot." "I saw," I said, brushing dirt off his knees. "You're a good friend, bud," he beamed. Behind him, Claire was helping Mia into her coat. Mia clutched her rabbit and looked back once, at the twig city, at Leo, at the moat. Her eyes lingered on the broken crayon Leo had tucked into the treasure pile. Then she turned and followed her mom to the car. I didn't know what any of it meant. I didn't know if Mia would ever speak or if Claire would ever say more than a polite hello. But I knew one thing. Leo wasn't giving up. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't either. The following week brought rain, thin, steady drips that turned the park paths slick and the air heavy with the smell of wet pine. Leo and I still showed up every afternoon, hoods up, boots splashing through puddles. The playground was mostly empty, just a couple of teenagers kicking a soccer ball and an old man walking his Labrador. Claire and Mia were there, of course. Same bench, but this time, under a black umbrella Claire held like a shield. Mia sat beneath it, rabbit tucked inside her raincoat, drawing on a small notepad with a stubby pencil. Leo didn't care about the rain. He dragged a plastic bucket over and started building a dam in the runoff ditch beside the sandbox. "Mia, help me stop the flood," he yelled, waving a soggy stick. Mia looked up, raindrops catching on her lashes. She hesitated, then slid off the bench and crouched beside him, silent but focused. Together they piled mud and leaves, creating a crooked barrier that held for exactly 4 seconds before the water broke through. Leo laughed so hard he fell over. Mia didn't laugh, but she stayed. She even added a pebble to the next dam. I stood under the awning of the picnic shelter, sipping coffee from a paper cup, watching. Claire watched too, umbrella tilted so she could see without getting wet. After the third dam collapsed, she folded the umbrella and walked over. Her boots clicked on the wet pavement. She stopped a few feet away, hands in the pockets of her trench coat. "Hi," she said. It was the first word she'd ever directed at me. "Hi," I said back. Leo and Mia were already on to dam number 4. Claire nodded toward them. "He's persistent." "That's Leo," I said. "He doesn't know the meaning of quit." She gave a small, tired smile. "Mia doesn't usually stay this long with anyone." I didn't push. I just nodded. The rain softened to a mist. Claire didn't leave. A minute passed, then another. Finally, she spoke again. "She has selective mutism since she was 4. I turned to face her fully. "I'm sorry. That's a lot." Claire's eyes stayed on Mia. "It started after her father died. Car accident. She was in the back seat. She saw everything." Her voice was flat, like she'd told the story so many times it had lost its edges. She stopped talking the day of the funeral. Hasn't said a word to anyone since. Not me, not therapists, not teachers. We've tried everything. Speech therapy, play therapy, medication, nothing. I didn't know what to say. I'd lost Emily, but Leo had been too young to understand. Mia had been old enough to remember. I looked at the little girl kneeling in the mud, carefully placing a leaf on the dam. Her face was serious, but her hands were steady. Leo doesn't know any of that, I said. He just sees a kid who likes dragons and moats. Claire's mouth twitched, almost a smile. He's the first kid who hasn't tried to fix her. We stood in silence for a while, watching the dams rise and fall. When the rain picked up again, Claire called Mia over. The girl stood, brushed mud off her knees, and walked back without a word. But before she reached the bench, she turned and waved at Leo. Small, quick, barely there. Leo waved back with both arms. Claire noticed. Her eyes widened, just for a second. The next day, the rain had stopped, but the park was still damp. Leo and I arrived to find Claire standing by the bulletin board near the playground entrance. She was staring at a flyer I'd taped up a month ago. Bright blue paper, bold letters. Kids Nonverbal Communication Workshop, ages 5 to 10, Central Community Center. Saturdays. 10 a.m. No talking required, just play. She didn't see me approach. I stopped a respectful distance away. Thinking about it? I asked. Claire startled, then recovered. Mia pulled me over here, she pointed at it. I glanced at Mia. She was already with Leo, helping him stack acorns into a tower. The class isn't about talking, I said. It's about listening, moving, building trust. We use games, art, music, kids communicate however they can, gestures, drawings, whatever works. Claire folded her arms. She's been to 3 different programs. None of them helped. This one's different, I said. No pressure. If she wants to sit and watch, she sits and watches. If she wants to leave, she leaves. Leo will be there. He's signed up. Claire looked at Mia again. The acorn tower had grown to knee height. Mia was carefully placing the top acorn, her tongue poking out in concentration. Leo cheered when it stayed. I don't want to get her hopes up, Claire said quietly. I don't want to get yours up either, I said. But sometimes hope sneaks in anyway. She didn't answer right away. Then, we'll try one class, that's it. I nodded. One class. The next morning, Saturday, I was at the community center early, setting up mats and hula hoops. Leo bounced around wearing his favorite dragon t-shirt. At 9:55, the door opened. Claire walked in holding Mia's hand. Mia's eyes were wide, taking in the colorful room, beanbags, whiteboards, a basket of musical instruments. She clung to her rabbit. Leo ran over. Mia, you came! Look, I saved you a spot! He pointed to a blue mat next to his. Mia hesitated, then let go of Claire's hand and walked forward. 1 step, 2. She sat on the blue mat, rabbit in her lap. Claire stood by the door, arms crossed, watching. I started the class. No talking from me, just clapping rhythms, passing a ball, drawing on giant paper. Mia didn't move at first. Then Leo rolled the ball to her. She caught it, rolled it back. Leo grinned. The other kids followed. By the end of the hour, Mia had drawn a dragon on the big paper. Small, crooked, but definitely a dragon. She pointed at it when Leo asked whose it was. She pointed at herself. Claire's eyes were wet when she came to pick Mia up. She didn't say thank you, she just nodded. Once. Firm. Mia tugged her sleeve and pointed at the flyer on the wall, the one for next week's class. Claire looked at me. We'll be back. I smiled. We'll be here. The first Saturday class became 2, then 4. Mia showed up every week, rabbit tucked under one arm, eyes scanning the room like she was memorizing escape routes. She never spoke, but she participated. She'd roll the ball when it came to her, clap the rhythm if Leo started it, and draw on the big paper with fierce concentration. Her dragons got bigger, their wings more detailed. Leo appointed himself her official cheerleader, announcing every contribution like it was a home run. Mia made the tail! Look at the spikes! Claire stayed for the whole hour now, leaning against the back wall, arms crossed, but not as tight as before. She didn't hover. Didn't yet. She just watched. Sometimes I'd catch her smiling, small, private, gone, as soon as she noticed me looking. By the 6th week, Mia had a routine. She'd walk straight to the blue mat Leo saved for her, set her rabbit in the corner like it was clocking in, and wait for the first game. The other kids had stopped staring. They just included her. If the ball rolled her way, they waited. If she pointed at a color, someone handed her the marker. It was quiet, seamless, the way kids adapt when no one makes a big deal out of it. I kept the classes loose. We'd start with movement, crawling under hoops, balancing bean bags on heads, then shift to art or music. One week we made shakers out of plastic eggs and rice. Mia shook hers once, twice, then held it to her ear like she was listening for something inside. Leo shook his so hard rice sprayed everywhere. The room erupted in laughter. Mia's shoulders shook too, silent but unmistakable. Claire started talking to the other parents. Not much, just a nod here, a nice dragon there. She even laughed once when a kid's shaker exploded mid-song. I pretended not to notice, but I filed it away. October turned into November. The air got sharp, the leaves mostly gone. The community center's heater clanked like an old truck, but the kids didn't care. They ran in circles, cheeks red, breath fogging. Mia's coat was too big. She swam in it, but she'd shed it the second we started moving. Her braids had gotten messier, like she was too busy to care. Then came the Saturday that changed everything. It was windy, gusty, the kind of wind that rips hats off and sends leaves spinning like confetti. We'd moved the class outside to the fenced playground behind the center. The plan was simple. Kite flying. I'd brought a box of cheap diamond kites, the kind with plastic tails that tangle if you breathe on them wrong. The kids were feral with excitement. Leo had picked a green one with a dragon face. Mia stood beside him, holding a blue kite, Rabbit left on the bench for the first time. I gave the safety talk, hold the string, don't run into each other, let the wind do the work. Then I let them loose. Kites shot up, dipped, crashed, soared again. Leo's dragon kite climbed high, tail whipping. He ran in circles, yelling, "Look, Dad, it's flying!" Mia watched, kite clutched to her chest. Leo grabbed her hand. "Come on, we'll fly together!" He dragged her to the open grass. I stayed back, helping a kid untangle his string. The wind picked up. A gust ripped Leo's kite higher, too high. The string slipped from his fingers. "No!" he shouted, chasing it. The kite looped, dove, and snagged on a low branch at the edge of the playground. But Leo's stuffed dragon, the one he'd brought to show Mia, had been tied to the tail for extra power. The wind yanked it free. It tumbled through the air, over the fence, into the strip of trees beyond. Leo froze. Then his face crumpled. "Mr. Fluff!" he wailed, tears instant. He ran to the fence, reaching through the chain links. "He's gone!" The other kids stopped. Kites sagged. I jogged over. "It's okay, bud. We'll find him." But Leo was already sobbing, fists clenched around the fence. "He's scared of the dark! He can't be alone!" I scanned the trees. The dragon was bright red, visible against the brown leaves, but it was 20 yards in, caught on a branch just out of reach. The fence was 6 feet high, no gate nearby. I'd have to go around, through the parking lot, and hope the wind didn't shake it loose first. Then I saw Mia. She dropped her kite and was running, not toward the fence but toward the trees. Her coat flapped open, braids streaming. She ducked under a low branch, sneakers slipping on wet leaves. I shouted, "Mia, wait!" But she didn't stop. She reached the tree, stretched on tiptoes, and grabbed the dragon's foot. The branch creaked. She pulled. It came free. She turned, clutching the stuffed animal to her chest, and ran back. Her face was red, hair wild, but her eyes were locked on Leo. She reached the fence, reached through the links, and held the dragon out. Leo stared, tears still falling. Mia's hand shook. Then, clear, small, but unmistakable, she spoke. "Don't cry," she said. "I got him." The playground went silent. Even the wind seemed to pause. Leo's mouth fell open. The other kids turned wide-eyed. I stood frozen, hard in my throat. Claire had been watching from the sidewalk. She dropped her coffee cup. It hit the pavement, lid popping off, dark liquid spreading. She didn't notice. She was running, coat flapping, toward the fence. Mia said it again, louder this time, pushing the dragon through the links. "He's okay, see?" Leo took it, clutching it to his chest. "Mr. Fluff!" he whispered. Then he looked at Mia. "You talked!" Mia nodded once. Her eyes flicked to Claire, who'd reached the fence now, hands gripping the metal. Claire's face was pale, eyes shining. She didn't speak. She just stared at her daughter like she was seeing her for the first time. I walked over slowly, pulling a pack of tissues from my pocket. I handed one to Claire without a word. She took it, pressed it to her eyes. Mia looked up at her mom, then back at Leo. She didn't say anything else, but she didn't need to. The dragon was safe. Leo was smiling through tears, and for the first time in 4 years, Mia had spoken. The other kids started clapping, slow at first, then louder. Someone shouted, "Mia talked!" Leo hugged her through the fence, dragon squished between them. Mia led him. Claire sank to her knees, still gripping the fence, tears streaming. I stood back, letting the moment belong to them. The wind died down. The kites lay forgotten on the grass, and in the quiet that followed, I knew nothing would be the same. The coffee shop on 3rd and Greenwood was the kind of place that smelled like burnt sugar and old books. It had mismatched chairs, a chalkboard menu with half the items crossed out, and a barista who hummed off-key to whatever played on the ancient radio. I'd been there 100 times with Leo, hot chocolate for him, black coffee for me, but never like this. Never with Claire. It was the Monday after Mia spoke. The weekend had been a blur. Leo wouldn't stop talking about the day Mia saved Mr. Fluff, retelling it to anyone who'd listen, his teacher, the mailman, the dog at the park. I'd nodded along, but my mind kept replaying that moment. Mia's small voice cutting through the wind, Claire's coffee hitting the ground. I hadn't slept much. Claire texted Sunday night, just 3 words. "Coffee tomorrow?" I'd stared at the message longer than I should have, then typed back, "Noon, Greenwood." She replied with a thumbs-up emoji. That was it. I got there early, claimed a table in the corner by the window. The rain had started again, soft, steady, the kind that made the world feel muffled. I ordered 2 coffees, black, no sugar. When Claire walked in, she looked different. No blazer, no bun. Her hair was down, damp from the rain, and she wore a simple gray sweater that made her look younger. She spotted me, gave a small wave, and slid into the chair across from me. "Thanks for coming," she said. Her voice was quieter than I remembered. "No problem." I pushed one of the cups toward her. "Figured you'd take it, Black." She wrapped her hands around it, nodded. "You remembered." We sat in silence for a minute, watching rain streak the window. The barista's humming filled the space, some old Springsteen song. Claire took a sip, then set the cup down carefully. "I owe you an apology," she said. I frowned. "For what?" "For everything. For being cold. For pulling Mia away that first day. For assuming you were just another person who'd try to fix her." She looked at her hands. "I've been doing this alone for so long, I forgot how to let anyone in." "You don't owe me anything," I said. "You were protecting her." She gave a short, bitter laugh. "Protecting her. That's what I tell myself, but sometimes I think I've just been hiding. From everyone. From her." I didn't know what to say to that. I took a sip of coffee. It was too hot. Claire leaned back, eyes on the window. "Mia's dad, Ethan, he died when she was 4. We were on our way to the coast. It was supposed to be a weekend trip. He was driving. A truck crossed the line. Mia was in her car seat, singing some Disney song, then nothing. She saw it all. The funeral was the last time she spoke. She asked where Daddy went. I didn't have an answer." Her voice didn't shake, but her fingers did, just slightly around the cup. I stayed quiet. "I quit my job for a year," she continued. "Took her to every specialist in the state. Play therapy, art therapy, hypnosis, nothing. She just shut down. I went back to work because I had to. CEO of a tech startup doesn't get maternity leave for grief. So I built walls. For both of us." I nodded. "I get walls." She looked at me then, really looked. "You do, don't you?" I set my cup down. "Emily, my wife. She died 3 years ago. Same kind of accident. Leo was 3. He doesn't remember her, but he still asks why she's not in the pictures anymore. I don't have an answer either." Claire's eyes softened. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. It's just life. You keep going." She was quiet for a long moment. Then, how do you do it? With Leo? He's so open, happy. I shrugged. I tried to fix him at first. After Emily, bought him every toy, signed him up for every class. Thought if I kept him busy, he wouldn't notice she was gone, didn't work. He'd cry at night, asking for her. One day I stopped trying to fill the space. Just sat with him, let him cry, let him be mad. Eventually, he started talking about her on his own. Not sad, just memories. That's when I realized sometimes the best thing you can do is stop trying to repair what's broken. Just love it anyway. Claire stared at me. The rain had slowed to a drizzle. The barista switched to a slower song, something with a piano. "That's what you've been doing with Mia," she said. It wasn't a question. "I guess. Leo does most of the work. I just give them space." She looked down at her coffee, then back up. She hasn't stopped talking about the dragon kite, or Leo, or the class. She asked if she could bring her own markers next time. I smiled. She can bring whatever she wants. Claire's eyes were wet again, but she didn't wipe them away. "I don't know how to thank you." "You don't have to." We sat there until the cups were empty and the rain had stopped. The shop was closing, chairs stacking, lights dimming. Claire stood, pulled on her coat. At the door, she paused. "Same time next week?" she asked. I nodded. "Next week." She left first. I watched her walk to her car, a sleek black sedan that looked out of place in the muddy lot. She didn't look back, but her shoulders were looser than I'd ever seen them. I stayed a minute longer, finishing the last cold sip. Outside, the sky was clearing, just enough for a sliver of sun to break through. I thought about Mia's voice. Small, clear, cutting through the wind. I thought about Claire's walls and mine, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was just keeping the pieces together. I felt like something was starting to grow. December settled over Bend like a heavy blanket. The park's grass turned brown and crunchy. The duck pond skimmed with ice in the mornings. Leo and I still made the trip every afternoon, but now it felt different. Claire and Mia were part of the rhythm. Mia would wave when she saw Leo's red coat, and Claire would nod at me, small but steady. The coffee shop meetups became weekly. Same corner table, same black coffees. Claire talked more. About work, about Mia's drawings, about the way her daughter now asked for extra crayons before bed. I listened. Sometimes I shared stories about Leo, how he'd started reading to his stuffed animals, how he insisted Mr. Fluff needed a seatbelt in the car. Claire laughed, real laughs that crinkled her eyes. The community center classes kept going. Mia was official now, my assistant. She handed out beanbags, pointed at the whiteboard when kids needed direction, even helped Leo demonstrate the crab walk. She still didn't talk much, but when she did, it was deliberate. "Red team wins," she'd say after a relay, or "more music." The other kids treated it like normal. Leo treated it like magic. Then came the Tuesday that broke everything open. It was late afternoon, the sky already bruising purple. The park was nearly empty, just a jogger and a couple walking their dog. Claire had a conference call that ran long, so she texted me, "Running 10 minutes late, Mia's at the playground." "Dad, can you keep an eye?" I'd replied with a thumbs up. Leo and Mia were building a snow fort out of the thin layer of frost on the grass, laughing as it collapsed. I sat on a bench nearby, Rex, my old rescue German shepherd, dozing at my feet. He'd been a firehouse dog before arthritis slowed him down. Now he was Leo's shadow. Claire's car pulled up 20 minutes later. She stepped out, phone still in hand, heels clicking on the path. "Sorry," she called, waving. "Investor wouldn't shut up." "No problem," I said. "They're engineering a fortress." Claire smiled, but her phone buzzed again. She glanced at it, frowned. "One more minute," she muttered, stepping aside to take the call. Mia didn't notice. She and Leo were tunneling through the frost, giggling. I turned to pet Rex, and that's when it happened. Mia stood up, brushing grass off her knees. "Leo, I'll get more sticks," she shouted, clear, excited. She darted toward the trees at the edge of the playground, the ones that bordered a narrow wooded strip before the river. Leo followed, but she was faster. She disappeared under the low branches. Claire was still on the phone, pacing. "No, the numbers are final," she said, voice sharp. "Tell them, Mia!" Leo called, stopping at the tree line. "Wait up!" I stood. "Mia, stay where I can see you!" But she was already gone, swallowed by shadows. Leo started after her. I grabbed his collar. "Stay here. Watch Rex." Claire ended her call. "What's wrong?" "Mia went into the trees. I'll get her." Claire's face went white. "Mia!" she shouted, voice cracking. She ran toward the woods, heels sinking in the mud. "Mia!" I followed, Rex trotting beside me, ears perked. The trees were dense, pines and underbrush, the ground slick with wet leaves. "Mia!" I called. No answer. Claire was ahead, pushing branches aside. "She knows not to go in here! Mia!" Panic clawed at my chest. The river was close. I could hear it rushing. If she'd gone that far... Rex 150 barked once, sharp. He bolted left, nose to the ground. I whistled. "Find her, boy." Claire froze, watching. Rex disappeared into the brush. 30 seconds later, he barked again. Urgent! I ran. Claire followed. We found them in a small clearing. Mia sat on a fallen log, knees pulled up, shivering. Her coat was open. Rabbit clutched tight. Tears streaked her face. Rex stood beside her, tail wagging, licking her hand. "Mia!" Claire dropped to her knees, pulling her daughter into her arms. Mia buried her face in her mom's shoulder, sobbing silently. I knelt too, checking for injuries. Just cold. Scared. "She's okay," I said. "Just spooked." Claire rocked her, whispering, "I'm here, baby. I'm here." Mia pulled back, eyes wide. She looked at Claire, then at me, then at Rex. Her voice was small, trembling. I thought you left. Like Daddy." Claire's breath hitched. She cupped Mia's face. "No, sweetheart, never. I'm right here." Mia's tears fell faster. "I got lost. I couldn't find Leo. I was scared you'd be gone." "I'm not going anywhere," Claire said, voice breaking. "I promise." Mia nodded, then turned to me. "Thank you, Mr. Daniel. And Rex." I swallowed hard. "Any time, kiddo." We walked back slowly. Leo ran to meet us, hugging Mia so tight she squeaked. Claire carried her the last stretch, Mia's head on her shoulder. At the playground, Claire set her down, knelt, and held her at arm's length. "I'm sorry I was on the phone," she said. "That won't happen again." Mia nodded. Then quietly, "Can we go home now?" Claire looked at me, eyes red. "Thank you," was all she said. I nodded. "See you tomorrow." They left. Leo and I stayed a minute longer, Rex panting at my side. The sky was dark now, stars pricking through. I thought about Mia's words. "I thought you left. Like Daddy." I thought about Claire's face when she realized her daughter was missing. And I thought about how close we'd come to something irreversible. That night, I tucked Leo in. He clutched Mr. Fluff, eyes heavy. "Dad," he whispered, "Mia was really scared." "I know, bud. Will she be okay?" "Yeah," I said. "She's got a good mom and a good friend." He smiled, already half asleep. I kissed his forehead and turned off the light. Outside, the wind rattled the windows. I stood there a long time, listening. Some fears don't go away. They just get smaller when you're not alone. The months slipped by like pages in a book you don't want to end. Winter gave way to a muddy spring, the park's grass turning bright green almost overnight. The duck pond thawed, and the playground filled with kids again, screaming, laughing, chasing each other in circles. Leo and Mia were inseparable now. They had inside jokes I didn't understand, a secret handshake involving 3 claps and a spin, and a shared obsession with building the world's tallest stick tower. Mia talked in full sentences, her voice soft but steady. She still carried her rabbit sometimes, but mostly it stayed on her bedroom shelf, retired from active duty. Claire and I never put a label on what we were. We didn't need to. She came to dinner at my house every Sunday. Pot roast, mashed potatoes, Leo's favorite. She'd bring dessert from the bakery downtown, the one with the burnt sugar crust. We'd eat at the kitchen table, Rex snoring under our feet, Leo and Mia arguing over who got the last roll. Claire would laugh at their bickering, and I'd catch her looking at me across the table, her eyes warm in the lamplight. Mia became my official assistant at the community center. She had a clipboard now, pink, covered in dragon stickers, and checked kids in with the seriousness of a CEO. "Name?" she'd ask, marker poised. The younger ones adored her. She'd demonstrate the crab walk with perfect form, then help them up when they fell. Leo followed her around like a shadow, proud as anything. One Saturday in May, Mia scraped her knee on the playground slide. It wasn't bad, just a strawberry patch, a little blood, but she cried anyway, more shocked than hurt. I carried her to the bench, Claire jogging over with the first aid kit she now kept in her car. I cleaned the wound, applied a bandage with a cartoon dinosaur. Mia sniffled, watching my hands. "It's okay," I said, "and just battle scar." She looked up at me, eyes still wet, then quiet but clear. "Thanks, Dad Daniel." The world stopped. Claire froze, bandage in hand. Leo, playing nearby, didn't hear. He was too busy chasing a butterfly. But I heard. Claire heard. Mia heard herself say it. I swallowed, throat tight. "Any time, kiddo," Mia smiled, small and shy, then hopped off the bench to rejoin Leo. Claire watched her go, then turned to me. Her eyes were shining, but she didn't cry. She just reached over and squeezed my hand, once, firm. Later that evening, after the kids were asleep, Claire and I sat on my porch. The air was warm, crickets loud in the grass. Rex lay between us, head on my foot. Claire had a glass of wine. I had a beer. We didn't talk much. We didn't need to. "She called you Dad," Claire said finally, voice soft. "I know." She was quiet for a long time. Then, "Leo calls me Aunt Claire sometimes. I don't correct him." I nodded. "Good." She leaned her head on my shoulder. I put my arm around her. We sat like that until the stars came out, the porch light flickering on automatically. Inside, the house was quiet. Leo's snores faint through the open window, Mia's rabbit visible on the guest room shelf where she'd left it after story time. We weren't a family in the way people write on forms. No shared last name, no matching Christmas cards. But we were something, a unit, a team. Leo had a sister who wasn't his sister. Mia had a dad who wasn't her dad. Claire had someone who showed up every day without being asked. And I had more than I'd ever thought possible after Emily. Some nights I'd catch Mia staring at the photo of Emily on the mantel, the one from our wedding, her smile bright. Mia would ask, "Was she nice?" I'd say, "The nicest." She'd nod, satisfied. Claire never moved in. She kept her apartment downtown, her CEO life, her early mornings and late calls. But she was here more than there. Her toothbrush lived in my bathroom. Her coffee mug had a permanent spot on the counter. Leo's drawings covered her fridge, and Mia's markers spilled out of a drawer in my kitchen. One Sunday in June, we took the kids to the river. Packed sandwiches, a blanket, Rex's old tennis ball. The water was cold, the sun hot. Leo and Mia built a dam with rocks, shrieking when it held. Claire and I sat on the bank, feet in the current, watching. Mia ran over, dripping. "Dad, Daniel, look, we made a pool!" I grinned. "Nice work, engineer." She beamed, then ran back. Claire leaned against me. "You know," she said, "I used to think healing meant going back to who we were before. But maybe it's just this, moving forward together." I kissed the top of her head. "Yeah, this." We stayed until sunset, the sky turning pink and gold. The kids fell asleep in the back seat on the way home, Mia's head on Leo's shoulder. Claire reached back, tucked a blanket around them. I drove slow, the radio off, the quiet full. That night, after tucking them in, I stood on the porch again. Claire joined me, 2 mugs of tea in hand. We didn't speak. We just listened, to the crickets, to Rex snoring inside, to the faint sound of Leo muttering in his sleep, to the life we'd built, piece by piece, without ever meaning to. It wasn't perfect. There were still hard days, Claire's work stress, Leo's tantrums, Mia's nightmares about the accident. But we faced them together. No walls, no fixing, just showing up. Mia never stopped calling me Dad Daniel. Leo never stopped calling Claire Aunt Claire. And Claire and I, we never needed a name for what we were. We just were, home.